The most scariest things found on Google Maps. Viewer discretion is advised. The Village of Dolls. The dolls made by Ayano Tsusumi, with each doll representing a dead villager. There are over 350 dolls spread throughout the village. The Blurred House. This house is home to Ariel Castro. He kidnapped 3 women and held them captive here for over 10 years. For what he did to these women, words cannot describe it. This guy's a piece of shit. The Killing Tree. This tree took the lives of many innocent children whose tiny bodies were clubbed off the tree. There were over 100 victims. The bracelets you see on the tree are small gestures from visitors to give something back to these victims. May they rest in peace.
If hell is a place on earth, it's within the walls of this prison. Welcome to Black Dolphin Prison in Russia, where about 700 inmates are treated like absolute dog water. They spend 23 hours every single day inside of their cells, which is locked behind 3 different sets of steel doors. When they are allowed outside of their cells, they are put into this stress position here to give guards maximum control over these inmates. There's always a police dog there too, just in case something happens. Oh, and the inmates are also blindfolded, so they never have any knowledge of the prison layout. And the only reason they leave their cells is to go into these other slightly bigger cells for exercise. And all they do here is just pace back and forth for 60 minutes. The only thing they're fed is soup, which comes directly to their cells. But if at any point you feel bad for these guys, just remember, they are the absolute worst of the worst. They've all committed unspeakable crimes, and it's why they're in this prison. And inmates know that Black Dolphin is a final destination.
I bet you didn't know that recently in Egypt they dug up 250 sarcophagi, and they all had intact mummies in them, and around 100 Egyptian artifacts. These mummies were unearthed from the ancient necropolis in Saqqara, Egypt. These artifacts are estimated to be from 2,500 years ago. Hundreds of bronze statues were also unearthed. They took these artifacts and mummies and lined them up outside of the necropolis. 2 wooden statues were also found. They're of the goddesses Isis and Nephthys. Both these goddesses represents the protectors of the sarcophagus. One at the head, one at the feet. They also found a roll of papyrus, which is estimated to be about 32 feet long. It's currently being studied in a lab. And they think it includes pieces of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Now here's the thing though. Grave robbing and disturbing the dead is considered one of the most horrific crimes you could possibly commit in Egyptian culture. That was one of the very few ways to get the death penalty in Egypt. Not to mention the curses that also go along with them. That those who disturb a sarcophagus, especially one of a pharaoh, will then face a curse. This is a very strong belief in ancient Egyptian culture. So, I mean, maybe you might want to put them back. I mean, Europe already really disrespected ancient Egyptians when they first discovered mummies and ate them as medicine. Yeah, I wish I was making that up. History is weird. I bet you didn't know these creepy facts that'll probably make you uncomfortable. There are at least 6 people out there that look exactly like you. And there's a 9% chance that you'll meet one of them in your lifetime. The author of Frankenstein, Mary Shelley, kept her deceased husband's heart for almost 30 years, until she died in 1851. A year later, his heart was found in a desk drawer, wrapped in a copy of one of his last poems. A book of spells written in the 1500s details how you can actually summon the nun, who is actually a demon named Valak. In the 1930s, a baby fell from a very high up window and landed on a man walking down the street below. Both the baby and the man survived. A year later, that same baby fell from that same window and landed on the same man. Again, they both survived. Dorothy Killigan, a panelist on the hit TV show What's My Line, died under mysterious circumstances while investigating the JFK assassination. Shortly before she died, she was quoted telling a friend, "I'm going to break the real story and have the biggest scoop of the century. If you can't get enough of true crime and horror, you should go follow my boyfriend. That way you can have double the true crime and double the horror." He's tagged right here.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Bu,
Cepat sekali pulangnya, Di.
dosennya nggak ada, Bu. Bu, masakin gulai ayam lagi dong, Bu. Andi pengen.
Kamu kan tahu ibu nggak masak itu lagi, Di. Di? Yuk makan. Andi.
Bu. Bu, ini Andi, Bu.
Kamu baru datang.
Iya, ini Andi masih di sini. Kenapa, Bu?
Tadi ada orang datang mirip sekali sama kamu. Terus masuk kamar. Tadi dia minta dibuatin gulai ayam sama ibu.
Ya nggak mungkin lah, Bu. Kan Andi tahu Ibu nggak mau lagi masak itu.
Bitch, what? Bitch, what?
I beat the thing up, non-stop, and let your homeboy hit it. Beat it, 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 beat it.
The Stalker. I was 16 and me and my friends, I'll call Evan and Jake, wanted to rent a hotel for the night since it was spring break. We got to the hotel and checked in. It had a really funky smell, but we still stayed there. Once we got to our room it was about 3 p.m. so we decided to go swimming. The pool was downstairs. Departed from the hotel. Once we got to the entrance there was a man at least 6'3" in all black with a hood covering his face facing us. I panicked a little but not out loud. We got into the pool and swam for a few hours until we saw that man again, all black, sitting on a chair by the pool. I cleared my throat. Can I help you, sir? I asked. No response. I still ease a little paranoid. I put my face in the water and at the bottom of the pool was another figure that was all black. I screamed like a little girl and ran for the door. I looked back and saw nothing, not the guy in the chair or the guy under the pool. My friends thought I was just seeing things, but I saw what I saw as clear as water. I didn't feel like swimming anymore, so I decided to get dinner at a nearby restaurant. I got a table for me and my friends to sit at, and there I saw once again the man all in black on the other side of the dining room and was staring at me. I have had enough. I went over there and I lost track of him and he took off. After we ate I decided this trip has gone too far and we should leave tomorrow morning, but my friends didn't like that idea. Once it was 10:30, I and my friends dozed off in the hotel room. I woke up to some noises. I saw a shadow of a figure at the end of my bed. I calmed myself down and told myself that it was my hat that I put there before I went to bed. I went to bed and got woken up again 30 minutes later to more noises. I was getting thirsty, so I reached under the bed and tried to grab my water bottle, but I grabbed something and I was totally shocked by what I grabbed. It was my hat. I was not ever more scared in my life. I couldn't help but to scream at the top of my lungs when I heard a voice next to my ear say, "You're a bitch." I jumped out of bed and realized it was 2 men in black right there. I tried to fight them, but it was no use once they grabbed me and dragged me out of that room. I tried to scream, but that guy was covering my mouth. I passed out and woken up in a stretcher. It turned out those guys knifed me while I passed out and someone caught them. But the doctor said no one could catch the guys who got me. To this day I always have a nightlight at night, so I'm not scared.